Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. To anyone who's new to this channel is about the teachings of Christ as shared by an amazing man named Bruno Groening. If you'd like to know more about him, hi to my live viewer. I've posted a link in the chat line. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about a little update about my journey. And my hope is in sharing it that it will be helpful to others and inspire them on their journey. So, as I've shared before, when I found Bruno Groening in this teaching, I was dying. My body was falling apart. And in a very short time, I experienced multiple healings. Literally, my life was saved, changed. I was reborn. It was amazing. And some very painful things happened um, that I didn't know how to deal with them, um, and I realized that I hadn't been taught the full picture. Some very painful things happened, and it drew me off the path. And so as I began to really look for answers, part of what I realized was, whoa, I hadn't been taught the full picture of what Bruno Groening actually taught. So I dove into this deep exploration of what did what's the full teaching of Bruno Groening? And I can't say that I have that, but my understanding really deepened. And um, what I was learning, I wasn't enough. Um, so I explored lots of different holistic and spiritual things along with Einstein and Bruno's more complete teaching. But that didn't do it. So then I dove back into the 12 steps. And first, let me backtrack and say I was very confused because I had such the feeling, and I still do, that Bruno Groening gave us the clearest expression of the truth I've ever heard of the path to God. And yet it wasn't enough, or I wasn't able to do it. And so then I explored the 12 steps. And at a certain point, I realized, oh my God, this is the simplest expression of what Christ taught that I've ever heard. And what Bruno taught is just what Christ taught. And I'm like, oh my God, the 12 steps are like um, a systematized process of living Bruno's teachings. If you just throw in Einstein, then the 12, it is just, I was just amazed at this recognition. And It wasn't it wasn't enough to help pull me out of the deep suffering. There were times where I thought, "Okay, I'm just in this extended period of regulation," but boy, it's an intense period of regulation. And, and, um, I just kept having this feeling like something's missing. Uh, and I really began to reflect on a statement that Greta Hausler made, and she's someone who knew Bruno well, and she said that Bruno Groening's vision was that to not start a new religion, but that the churches be full of people who were practicing uh, what they were taught in church. And so, and I even found a statement of Bruno's who he said, you know, yes, I can't remember the exact statement, but it's something along the lines of, yes, you must put into what you are taught in church is the truth, but you must put it into practice. And I was like, there's something there, but I don't know what it is. And so I began to have this feeling of, well, yes, my path is the teachings of Bruno Groening and the 12 steps, but what's my religion? And do I need a religion? Like, but I And then I reflected on the fact that Bruno only allowed, his groups to meet every 3 weeks, and I had this realization that some way, somehow, I had turned Bruno Groening and Bruno Groening's teachings in my own mind into a religion, and that there was something not right about that, and I didn't know what that meant, and I'm still unpacking what that meant. And so then I explored. I'm like, well, maybe I explored some different religions. I'm like, maybe Buddhism is my religion, maybe Christianity, maybe Hinduism, that there was, and then that Bruno and the 12 steps could be my path. Um, but it never quite landed. Um, and I don't have all the answers now, but what I do know is that Bruno Groening said that um, Christ is not just anything, but everything that we need here in this life. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a very religious statement, right? And I've been sitting with that statement for, oh my gosh, 6 or 7 years. And I've also been sitting with a statement of Bruno Groening's that if we were to surrender completely to God, that in essence everything would be taken care of. And but I haven't known how to do that. Maybe known how to do it intellectually, but how to do it with your guts and your heart, and still exploring that. So, mm, I don't believe that Bruno Groening intended or really even wanted, what he taught to be one's entire path. That's not my job to discourage. If that's your thing, if you're like Bruno Groening or bust, and like that's all I'm interested in, and Bruno Groening and Einstein, and it's not my job to tell you otherwise because I don't know. Mm. But I do feel it's my job to accurately represent what Bruno taught and to share my experiences, both my victories and my challenges in living what Bruno taught. And so I feel that I must share my sense, and I've given some of the reasons why I believe this, that Bruno didn't want, mean, or intend for himself or what he taught to be, mm, how to say, well, to be a religion. It's easy to say that. Um, it's almost like Bruno Groening taught the nuts and bolts. He taught people to follow God, to surrender to God. And I just have this curiosity if Bruno mm, wanted us to each have our own religion, and that word means so many different things to so many different people, but our own uh, set of understandings about uh, how the universe operates and what the correct path is within a community of other people who have like-minded views and seeking like-minded values. And then Bruno Groening and his teachings would then people, support us on that path. I can't prove it, but I have a very strong felt sense that that was his intention in terms of, uh, you know, Bruno's available to help, and Bruno taught some amazing things, but what to do with that, where to put it in our lives. Um, so those are just a few of my thoughts, and um, And, sometimes I'm sharing a I'm sharing a lot of sort of my subjective feelings and opinions, which I try not to do on this channel. I try to just share what Bruno taught and my direct experience, but I kind of feel like Bruno held back. Like he could have done more, he could have taught more, but he didn't want too much attention on him or too much attention on his teachings. He didn't want too little attention and practice of his teachings. That's just my that's just my feeling, and I've shared some of the reasons for it. So, that's what I'm up to nowadays is, seeking my foundation, and, yeah. So I'm gonna leave the comment section open. I would love to hear your thoughts or feelings on what I just shared, or your thoughts and feelings, on the path, on making Bruno and his teachings your number 1, on having Bruno and his teachings sort of as a support to your religion or your path. Thank you so much for dropping in. Take care, dear ones.